Hello BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dennis and you're watching The Intellectual Reads. Today I am going to be reviewing The Long Bright River, a recently published novel by Liz Moore, a book that was the December selection for my Book of the Month club. It is not often that I look forward to a book that is a fresh release, but this one I have been aware of coming out for quite a bit because I follow Liz Moore closely and I have been hooked to her since the last book I read, which was the first book by her. But I was really anticipating getting my hands on this book as it is another great new release. The first book that I actually came across of hers is The Unseen World, and this book was one of my favorite books of 2017. I still fondly remember it, and I have since recommended it to a few people who have also loved it and thanked me for that recommendation. The Long Bright River by Liz Moore follows two sisters across two different spheres of time. We are mostly interested in the present, as the past is used by Liz Moore to fill in the blanks. If you have read Where the Crawdads Sing, that is another book with two timelines. But in that book we are mostly concerned with the past as it catches up to the present. Here it is the opposite. We are mainly concerned with the present as the past catches up and fills in all our blanks. The two sisters that we follow are Mickey and Casey. Mickey overcomes the destructiveness of the opioid epidemic on her household and is able to overcome it through hard work and becoming a police officer that now monitors those same streets that have taken away many lives, including her mother's. Casey unfortunately falls on the other side of the spectrum, as we see her early in the book prostituting those streets under the watchful eye of her sister. Neither the shame from that watchful eye nor the shame from having to come up to sketchy men who roll down their windows in the idea that they will make their next proposition will stop Casey here within this novel from attaining her next high and earning the money to survive under the hold that the opioid addiction has over her. Therefore, you get a very interesting plot line where the two sisters are vastly different and socialize in vastly different social circles. It's an interesting separation of two people, whereas one, Mickey, who's a police officer, can never escape her family ties, and they seem to keep dragging her back. On the other end, you have Casey, who has completely lost control of her life, is found in shady buildings and walking the cold streets, and perhaps the one savior that she has are the few people in her family that are left. From my limited experience of reading thrillers, I often encounter that the kind of plot line of a thriller is that things as it advances get more and more murky until you reach the climax where there's a release and everything sort of allows you to exhale. I found the composition of this book a bit different from that, in the fact that the thing that keeps you going here is the new information that provides more clarity on the situation that's at hand. It's as if Liz Moore didn't particularly want to write a thriller or a suspense novel, but wanted to discuss the effects of the opioid addictions on members of family life, as well as on people in general, from newborn babies all the way down the line to people who are hardworking and still need a fix. The storyline of this book really picks up after Casey has gone missing for a substantial amount of time, and as the streets start to be plagued with murders. Women junkies who are prostituting themselves start to mysteriously get killed, and this concerns the older sister Mickey as she tries to find a sister that doesn't want to be found. This is a really quick read and a very enjoyable read. But about by 200 pages I became very skeptical because the characters were falling on either the side of the good or the bad, and there wasn't a lot of information as I expected to be told about the opioid crisis. But once you get about 1/3 of the book in, I would say that's when it really picked up for me. And one of the most enjoyable things about Liz Moore's writing in this novel is how she develops her characters. By the end of the book, I thought that her character development as an author is superb. Each character has a lot of good in them, specifically the main sisters, and a lot of bad in them. And this is really divulged through the voice of our protagonist here, who is Mickey, as she starts out really good, but as we start to follow her and more gaps and gray areas get filled in by their past, we start to learn that perhaps Mickey is the cause of everything that might happen. Again, I love a book where an author takes a risk and at first hooks us through the drive of a character and then is able to completely change our perception of the character that we have come so attached to. That part really captivated me, is the fact that Liz Moore took a big chance here. I think you're playing really high stakes games when you can hook your reader to a character and then question that reader's loyalty. You really risk the chance of losing your reader. However, if you pull it off, your characters really attain a humanness to them. It's as if the author here has taken off the kid gloves of these characters and let them stand out for who they are, not under the protective gaze as many authors do, but really become questionable in all of their actions. And yet, in a sense, their actions become true to life, driven by opposite emotions, and the good and the bad compete within them, just like they do within us. You know, there's the old classics where love tends to conquer all, but we know that is not the truth, and the fact that our wants sometimes overtake the way we know we should act and make us do things that jeopardize other people. And this really falls in line with the scenery of the book, the environment of the book, and the contamination of a industrial town. After everything of worth has left its hemisphere, you get a town that is a remnant of what it once was, and you get the kind of hard, difficult life that is plagued by evil of the people who are left behind. I have to admit, I was a bit surprised that Liz Moore was able to pull this off. And if you love trigger warnings as much as I do, I think this would be a great book for you. And I found that Liz Moore's writing is very refreshing in the fact that she's not concerned with pissing people off. With her plot line here, she's not concerned of turning readers off, and she's a great author who just wanted to write a book that she wanted to, and therefore you're going to deal with a lot of griminess and a lot of trigger warnings here. But in the right kind of hands, I feel like they are well adapted to employ these things, because if you really want to learn, the one way to learn is to put yourself in difficult situations. And so, even though the topics discussed here, such as rape, prostitution, opioid addictions, and just people losing complete control of themselves, are hard topics to read, perhaps for some people. I feel like if you familiarize yourself with them, that is where most of your knowledge will come from, whatever topics those may be in life. Therefore, I really commend Liz Moore for taking on such a harsh reality and doing justice to it in its portrayal. This novel came in at a solid 4 stars for me. I thought it was very captivating, very fast-paced, and it did justice to its topic, as well as bringing knowledge to the reader about the opioid addiction and some very interesting facts with heroin use, specifically the effect it has on newborn children, as well as the effect prolonged use can have on the body. The reason I didn't give this book 5 stars is I found it problematic here that the victims are all women, and the responsibility of causing all the harm seems to fall on the men within this book. And even though I can understand it, because the book is given from a perspective of Mickey, who has had her share of bad experiences with men, I still would have loved to see this book bring us across all sexes and ages together to fight for the people who don't have a voice, to fight for the people who are being destroyed due to the opioid crisis within our country. And it felt rather that it chose to go back to kind of the old values that we instill in men and women, and that like low-key continues to rip us apart rather than bring us together. I would have loved to see maybe some responsibility fall on the women characters for continuing this epidemic, and perhaps for there to be a valuable male character in here. But then again, I can't really fault her because, like I said, all of her characters have good and bad in them. I just didn't particularly like that the victim role was always played by a woman. So in the end, it ended up coming in at 4 out of 5 stars. I will also say one thing, is that she does such a great job here of portraying family life amidst crisis and writing a very captivating and convincing police force drama, so to speak here, that I would recommend this to anybody. I think she pulls it off way better than an author that I read last year, and that was Ask Again Yes by Mary Beth Keane. To me, the Long Bright River is way better. It is not even on the same level. The characters are more convincing because Liz Moore is more brave enough to reveal their faults to the reader, and therefore we make much more accurate conclusions. And in situations such as these two books handle, it is, I think, foolish for an author to even try and tell us that the ending is happy, such as in this book. Whereas this book leaves everything to be interpreted by the reader, and realize that the novel and the situations these people found themselves within the context of the work will plague them for the rest of their lives. So 4 out of 5 stars if you're interested in drama. If you're interested in suspense and thrillers, I would definitely recommend you pick this up. Again, whatever you think, please leave a comment and hit that like button, subscribe, and I look forward to sharing my opinions on other works that grab me and that I am always excited to share with you.